Whenever you're ready.
Okay, captions, everything, we're good, okay. I make a motion to open the meeting.
A second. Trustee Wills.
Aye.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, the meeting is now open. Is there anybody who has a conflict of interest or anything to disclose?
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I do not.
I just think whether or not like, in that this affects us all.
Well, it's,
Right.
do you have any financial gain?
Yes.
I may.
Personally?
Very, very
Personally,
small
gotta be
amount.
personal. I
Very
know.
small amount, I may.
$1.28, okay. The purpose of this meeting, it's a special meeting. We just sort of need to kind of regroup here. We have asked our deputy treasurer to help us through this in the meeting. Our refuse tax bill, our tax bills went out, and the part of the tax bill reflects the refuse district fee that is passed on to our residents on an annual basis as part of that bill. And thank you, Francine, for just sort of doing a little bit of due diligence here, and you recognize that there was a bit of an overage of $1.28 that went out on every single bill. So really, the discussion today is sort of how do we rectify the situation, just really in a practical way, because the bills have gone out. And if you have any questions for Francine, she ran the numbers, she's been in touch, you've been in touch with the county. They were given a certain number from our treasurer, who is out on a family medical emergency. So she's not available. So it's $1.28. It would cost us more to actually put checks in the mail back with $1.28. So I'd like the board to consider for discussion, potentially just reflecting, reaching out to our residents and saying, this is what happened. There was an internal miscalculation by $1.28, and we will credit you on your next year's bill. Just to sort of clean it up. That way, we will be able to accept the checks. Right now, we cannot accept a check for more than they're supposed to be billed. We have to show what happened. That's why we're having this meeting, to be transparent, that there was a calculation error of $1.28. Please pay your bill, you will be credited back. So that's the, what I wanted to bring up for discussion.
So a resident could actually still make the overpayment, right? Via check or whatever.
Based on the action of the board.
Because as long as we state here that you will be reimbursed, and theoretically,
We will rectify the
later it's
situation.
rectified. Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question regarding the process of getting these numbers to the county. So if this was from the refuse side, don't we know what that number is technically? Like,
Yes,
shouldn't that not change?
yes, I do have a letter that went out last year that says rate would be the same for 2 years. But the way it happens, which we figured out over the last few days, is that we send the budget to the county and it shows the anticipated revenue, the budgeted revenue for the year, divided by the number of households that have refuse. And they did the math, and it came out to $1.28 more than.
Is it because the number of homes is slightly,
It's the budgeted revenue is is 7,000 higher than last year.
oh, okay, so it's just generally just year over year increase
But
divided by the same denominator gives you the higher 1.28 versus,
It's gonna be the same.
okay.
So the county received essentially a higher number from our budget, which we believe was an internal miscalculation at the time and was forwarded to them.
Yeah, it's almost like
So it's
said
like, it's
differently.
like $1.28.
that, we keep that revenue line item, right, of the refuse
Mhm.
district. We know what it is every year. However, it must have gotten picked up somewhere
Yeah.
and hit with the same year over year increase that we were applying to every other line item. And thus.
It could have
it got
happened that
higher.
way.
I can't say.
Okay,
Yeah.
that might, okay, got it.
Not.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, we may be able, I think when Dorothea's on the other side of her family emergency, to sort of sort it out a little bit better internally, but right now this is just, we wanted to get everybody together because this is just where we are.
Yeah.
So it's just how do we rectify this in a way that's it's clear cut, sort of moving forward.
Question for you. What if somebody said, I'd like to get it back sooner? I don't want it as a credit.
For a dollar.
okay, I'm assuming it's majority rule.
I'm just asking the question.
I mean, in the sense of if we all vote together, then.
No, I'm just asking the question.
We would say that the board has taken the action, your elected officials have taken the action to reflect, to lower your bill by this dollar amount in your next bill cycle.
Right, so
If
what,
they want it before that,
sure,
they
so,
wait for their bill,
so this
because
is,
we have taken an action as a board.
this is an optics question on
Mhm.
some level, right? Their bill is the bill,
Mhm.
meaning if they chose to pay an amount, $1.28 less,
Mhm.
what are we gonna do? Are they underpaying their taxes and is it gonna get
For this
remitted?
year,
Is it gonna get remitted to Monroe County?
No.
Like,
I don't know.
again, would
No.
we, no, this isn't.
no, I know.
But it would be
I
an
see where you're going.
underpayment.
It would be an
It would be
Based
underpayment.
on what I asked.
So-
Be an
So,
underpayment.
so let's keep going with this, right? If it is an underpayment,
Mhm.
we can choose not to forward it to Monroe County,
Mhm.
meaning I'm not of the mindset to take any extra amount as a government and say, we're gonna give it back to you next year. I mean, imagine if it was a bigger dollar. I know it's only $1.20.
Mhm.
So I was trying to coming into today's
Mhm.
meeting with ideas to consider.
Mhm.
Right?
Sure.
This was certainly one, right? Just take it. I didn't realize that we couldn't accept the check if we fixed the taxes, right? So we can only accept the check if it's the right tax payment.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so that was my original question, was that can somebody still, the bill that they received in the mail, inclusive of the additional 128,
Yep,
can they write that check? If we vote today,
Yeah.
that
Right.
the 128 will be refunded on the next tax bill, then
Mhm.
theoretically, that amount that they are filling out from what they were mailed already
Yeah.
is equal to
Yeah.
that, because in the future, that 128 is gonna be.
It's a wash.
credit.
Right,
So
but until we make that decision, then it is.
the one, what if we were to say, we will accept up to dollar nothing bill or any amount of $1.28 less?
Okay, let's talk about this administratively, internally, the impact of that. Hang on. And also, we've already had people, want to come in and just pay their tax bills. And we've explained the situation to them. What has been the feedback from a resident over the $1.28?
Basically, no one that I have talked to has been upset. They're like, oh, it's $1.28, yeah, that'll,
Yeah,
no one.
Like, it'll come out in the wash. Okay.
Completely agree. Like, I
Yeah.
think that's the right approach.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if one person,
Mhm.
right? I'm not trying to think what's the majority thing of this. I'm like, if one person is upset that they're paying more to the government,
Mhm.
right, for a service that they're not gonna get, and maybe they're gonna move out in 6 months.
Mhm.
How do we get them that money?
Oh, we would probably then, in other words, it's not the rule, it would be the exception to the rule that could be handled internally administratively. Because where you get into the administrative logistics
Mhm.
of refunding hundreds of households $1.28 with a check with a.
Yep, I agree.
No,
It's a
so
tracking issue.
what you have brought up, I would agree with you, is the exception to this. If there's like 5 people in the building going, I want my $1.28 right now. Okay, we can pull it out. We can absolutely handle that. What we can vote on though, and that could be part of the motion, would be, if you want it that way, we could say, the board approves, the tax bill as it went out for the year 2026, with the understanding that reflecting the $1.28 difference will be credited back to any household, every household, unless people want to have their $1.28 back, we will be able to handle that internally. Because I think they'll be sharing.
Pay it.
Well, so here's a follow-up question to
Mhm.
that, which was, the subsequent part,
Mhm.
what if we don't do a credit back? What if we don't track any of this and we just have a 90-day window or a 30-day window where we say your tax bill's this, right? The correct tax bill is $1.28 less and we're assessing $1.28 surcharge. That way we effectively have a tax bill that's less and a surcharge or something,
An administrative charge.
an administrative charge, right? Something extra. And then what we say is that extra, we're gonna donate to the Pittsburgh Food Cupboard.
I don't know that
We
we,
do something with it besides keep.
no,
Because
no,
the giving it back, the
No.
crediting into account seems very.
I don't think legally we can do that under municipal law because this is a defined district
Mhm,
with the sole purpose of collecting funds to service the district
mhm.
and not to donate to a charity.
Okay, so,
Okay, so I don't think that would pass the sniff test.
okay, that's fine. So you
Okay.
throw out the charity thing and just simply say, you can pay the tax bill or $1.58 less.
What,
And all you're doing is you're giving somebody, if they care, the opportunity to not have to wait till next year to collect the dollar. 'Cause-
I almost feel like that opens up
Yeah, I
the
think-
door for someone to be like, I don't think anyone genuinely probably cares, right? For the most part.
Generally, I-
There may be some principled person who
And then
says it's
just
just,
feel that is the exception.
yeah, let that
You
person
don't have
deal
to-
with it themselves.
Yeah, they can come
We
in.
need an overarching government for the mass. And in this case, $1.28, I don't think most of us who live here are hurting for $1.28.
Yeah.
So, I think if as long as I know, hey, I'm gonna be here, my next tax bill will be $1.28 cheaper, fine. Yeah. I don't even care about the interest level,
But I
but
think rather than focusing on the donut hole, let's focus on the donor. Let's do something that's efficient,
I-
practical, doesn't overwhelm our staff administratively.
Mhm.
I still think that the initial idea of crediting back on the next tax bill, just letting our residents know. Then if anybody wants to pipe up and come in, then we handle it.
Mhm.
I don't even think we need it in a motion. I think this is governing. Let's just take an action. Oops, $1.28. Sorry, we're gonna credit you back.
So let's.
Anybody
decide.
else can come right
Okay.
in.
Fair enough, fair enough. Again,
Sufficient.
I 100% agree. I want efficiency. I don't necessarily wanna worry about breaking it all up.
The bigger thing
If
too-
there is the 1 or 5 people that says I want my $1.28, I want.
yeah,
Let's come up with today, how do we respond? Well,
Well, why?
they come in.
Yeah.
Well, I
think
There doesn't need to be let them deal with it.
They can
I mean,
come in.
we could say that if it's more than 20 people, then bring it back to the board, but I.
No, I'm just saying, let's today in the motion, just say, if somebody comes in and says, I don't want to give you the $1.28, what do we?
But why?
Why?
Yeah, why put that?
You're at, why
We
add
can take
more?
a clear cut action. This is what we're gonna do. Anybody else who
Wait, okay,
doesn't
so
like it.
let me back up and say, in principle, if I came in and say, I'm not gonna spend the $1.58 or $1.28, I'd like to get it back. What
You can come in and say that.
Right, and what does the office do?
They can come, yeah.
Okay,
they'll
so
take
the office can cut a check that
You
day.
just said that.
I didn't hear that, I'm
I
sorry.
know.
So they write the check for the tax amount, and then they want to get the money back instead of a credit for next year. Then we write them a check, and then we
And then
notate,
we direct it.
And we know that-
and then we notate not to give it a check.
It is, it's additional layer of administration, but we can
Yes.
do that.
If that person wants to drive their car over here or walk over here,
Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
spend $1.28.
their time is worth $1.28.
I agree.
Let them do
I
it.
completely agree with you. I just wanted to know how we're gonna.
Let me give a different example, because this is a real time example. When we implemented the refuse district, we actually had people say, we don't want to be in it, it was a case by case basis.
Mhm.
That's all. We handled it. We don't have to do big motions. We don't have to do, we just handled it. We have wonderful staff here who can help out.
Mhm.
Done.
I'm not being argumentative. I just want to know what we're doing.
We have a process
Okay.
to meet everyone.
So if,
Yeah, yeah,
thank you very much.
if there is somebody who chooses to do something different.
I think we have
a
heard
we have a
that.
mechanism in
I
terms.
think it has
to
been.
track it with you in a lot of regard, there are people that don't want to pay our credit card fee. That's $1 something,
Mhm.
and so they'll come in and we are gonna hear this $1.28, yes, I want my money back. But if they're paying the full bill, which is because what's illegal thing doing us refunding it, we have a way to do that.
Yeah. We can always give refunds.
And then.
And not have to cut a check.
Yeah.
Too, we
Well,
can
we-
put cash,
we can do
put it in the
cash.
system. Yeah.
And will we communicate this on the the distribution that we do typically within. the
Me
village.
too. If people have, let me tell you, you guys can certainly, anybody who has a problem with a bill or wants something back or needs a refund, they come right in. They just call the office and we say, come on in. I mean, why do we have to create this
Sorry.
But I think that's what
scenario?
you're asking,
Sorry, I'm
you're
just-
saying,
I'm
how will people
misunderstanding.
know?
How are people gonna know that they're overpaying, that
Yeah.
they're getting a refund?
Oh, we're gonna communicate that there's $1.28.
Okay.
This is the action the board has taken. That's why we're having a
I mean,
public
also
meeting.
public, that-
Public meeting, hang on, excuse me, let me finish my thought. We're having a public meeting. You're gonna see the action that the board takes. Then we communicate it to our residents.
Yep.
That's what we do.
On the email channel thing that we pump out. Okay, that was the
That's
question.
You're gonna send like a mayor newsletter.
Yes.
Whatever that is.
It'll all go out, you know,
I think that sounds.
and, yeah,
just a question for Francie. If there are those individuals that do that, from a tracking standpoint, I'm just thinking about year in next year, to make sure that we have kind of
Yeah.
a list of
yep,
status quo residents versus.
yep.
I have one question. Can they short pay it rather than paying full and refunding?
No.
Cause
No.
that's
No,
No, because then we're in.
a lot.
again, I wanna describe what this action potentially will be from the board, because it's a binding action that we will have the residents pay the tax bill they received. If after they pay the tax bill they've received, they do not want a credit, there's someone out there that says, I want my $1.28, they will contact the office on their own and get a refund. If they do not pay their full tax bill, it is a short payment. It is underpaid.
And they can't, we can't. take
Right,
it.
because we potentially will be taking this action if there's a motion to do so.
Okay,
Okay, that's,
yeah.
and it's the cleanest way to do it. It's the most transparent way to do it.
So I think what you just said is perfectly fine, and works well. So maybe I'll give it a try. I'll make a motion that we change the refuse district tax bill payment to be the additional $1.
No,
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 no, no,
No, we're not changing, I'm sorry.
No,
It went out like that.
It-
to make
it
a
is what it
motion
is.
to accept the payment from the
Right.
tax bills that were mailed.
Right. So I make a motion to accept the tax bills for the refuse district as they were mailed. The $1.28 extra will be credited to each refuse district payer next year, absent of their contact to the office
Okay,
directly.
okay.
Do we want to put a date on that within the next 30 days, maybe 60
No,
days?
there's a
Penalty dates on the bill.
How much
For them to come back
Going
and
out.
probably you say, I want the $1.28.
I wouldn't overthink it.
Okay, never mind.
Second.
So at any point,
Okay, we have a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Will.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you so much. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Coe.
Aye.
Trustee Marshall.
Aye.
Trustee Will.
Aye.
Mayor Plummer.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you, Francine.
Everybody hang on one second.
That's a good catch.